We're back with part two of our HBCU NFL draft preview. Gerald Huggins joins me once again, and we put a special highlight on Sundiata Anderson and Mikey Victor. Oh, yeah, it's locked on HBCU. Play my music.
You are Locked On HBCU, your daily podcast covering HBCU sports. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On HBCU podcast, your number one daily one-stop shop for everything HBCU athletics, Monday through Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I, of course, am Darian Gray, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, Texas Southern alum and former TSU Herald Sports editor and current contributing writer at USA Today's Saints Wire. Thank you for going on this journey with me. Make a Locked On HBCU your first listen of the day every day. And remember, just because the mic cuts off does not mean that the journey is over. It just means it's time to follow me on Twitter at South Exclusives. Starts with an S and ends with an S. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. And I have a competitive side. I admit it. It's a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go for free at the App Store or Google Play. We're back with part two of our HBCU NFL draft preview. So you know I got to bring Gerald Huggins again. It's just a continuation from yesterday. We start off highlighting Sundiata Anderson, and we ended with something I honestly wish would have opened the show, but it's a beautiful breakdown of Mikey Victor. So you're going to want to stay tuned until the very last second. I told you we'd start off our part two of the HBCU draft preview with a deeper look at Sundiata Anderson, who we just broke down his draft stock on yesterday's episode. So if you missed yesterday, go ahead and go back. You'll have time. Check out where we think he could get drafted. But I'll tell you something that concerns me about Sundiata is that he never hit 10 sacks in his career. And this isn't about the player himself. It's about how people will value the player because he never got to double-digit sacks. Do you think coaches and scouts will look beyond that, or is that something that might give some of them some pause?
No.
Okay. You know how much they value these sacks, so I didn't know if double digits was like a thing for them.
They used to value sacks a lot, but it's really more about getting pressures.
Okay.
He had a ton of pressures. I think he might have been top in the FCS in pressures. I gotta look it up to make sure, but he's always around. You know what I mean? But when everybody's focusing on you, he didn't have really. I mean, to an extent, he didn't really have as much help around him to take some eyes off of him, so he could be able to eat a little bit more. So, but also, there's a lot that goes into that too. There's a lot of coaching stuff that may go into that. There's a lot of schematic things that may go into that as well. But he was able to generate a ton of pressure. I'm gonna look it up as we're talking. But I'm pretty sure that he had his pass rush win rate was pretty high, and I'm pretty sure that he was like, I got to look it up, but I'm pretty sure he was like a top guy when it comes to the hurries in the FCS. So, okay. And then when you look at go ahead and look at the edge rushers that get drafted this year. You'll see their sack numbers weren't insane.
So you're telling me that the scouts have shifted away from such a heavy emphasis on sacks to, and I mean, we all know that in the game, pressures is more important. And I know that we've become more aware of that in the NFL and how we discuss some of the pass rushers. I just didn't realize that standard, I'll say, had moved its way into draft scouting. So
yeah, it's really about, seeing your technique of how you get to the ball, how you get to the QB, how you press the pocket. Are you able to bend? Like, do you have, do you have tools? Do you have the functional athleticism? Do you have the plus athleticism, to say the least, to be able to do the things that they want to teach you to do? Like, sometimes players just, like, I know me, I didn't know how to learn how to pass rush until my junior year of college, because that's all about coaching. There wasn't a bunch of D-line trainers, pass rush trainers, and stuff like that when I was coming up. Not back home in New York anyway. So when I went home, I was just trying to get strong. I was like, well, I don't know how to pass rush, but you for sure not about to knock me off the ball. So that was my idea. So sometimes it just took a coach like Coach James to teach me how to do a simple club rip. I didn't really know. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't know how to perfect it. I didn't know the science behind it. So now I teach it. I bring my martial arts into my pass rush stuff. So it just really depends on your coach that you have. So for him, I just looked it up. His pass rush grade was top 5 in the FCS, and his win rate was 21%, which was number 2. His win, 21% is. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, I mean, you win 21% of your rushes. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. So
yeah,
my thing is like I there's a lot of things you could nitpick at, whatever. But out of all the guys coming out, most of the guys coming out this year, Sonny has showed that he's going to be disruptive, and that's fine. I like disruptive guys, So I get that though. I'm not a big stat guy when it comes to evaluating players because everybody's situation is different. But for him, if you're gonna go for a stat, that pass rush win rate, geez, I cannot get that.
Nah, I ain't like that WR combo. He'd be kicking my butt too.
Pass rush win rate is good.
It's the RWR. That's what it is. It's the run. It's the rush win rate.
Yeah, it's kicking my butt a little bit.
All right, so my bad. Go ahead.
No, you good. You good. Go ahead. You good.
Okay, so Dane Brugler of The Athletic has Sundiata at 35 as far as edge rushers go. But I want to read to you the description that he has when talking about him. Anderson has a leaner build, but long arms and room to continue adding bulk. He needs to get stronger to match up with NFL blockers at the point of attack. He has shown the ability to win in different ways, including long arm and violent chop moves. His motor and ability to close in pursuit are lasting takeaways from his game. Do we agree? Do we think this is a strong description of who Sundiata is?
I'll read my report. At 6'4", 250 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Look at the Huggins report, man. Look at the Huggins report, man. Come on now. I'm over here reading. Do I think you agree? Man, I should just be like, hey,
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Read the report.
That's why I love scouting, because it's always like, everybody sees things differently. That's what makes it really cool. But so you would read mine and you'll probably see some similarities. So at 6'4", 250 pounds, Sundiata Anderson is a versatile edge defender with potential. Best suited as a 5 technique in a 4-3 or an outside linebacker in a 3-4. He's promising yet raw in pass rushing with a good get off and techniques like the club and chop, needing more consistent counters. His technique requires refinement for full impact. Anderson understands blocking schemes and shows quickness in run defense, but is hampered by average lower body strength against combination blocks. His closing speed and knack for turnovers are strengths, though he needs to avoid getting locked into engagements with offensive linemen. Focus development on strength, especially against formidable tackles, and refining pass rushing skills could significantly enhance his play. Anderson projects as a quality NFL rotational prospect with a bright future.
I like it. Yeah. Sounds about right. Versatility in moves, strength-ish or strength questions. Yeah, sound like they line up. So I know that you have a pretty similar view as Brugler does. So that's funny. I don't know why I just think hey, read me the report, man. That's what we do. But okay, let's keep pushing, because we've broken down Anderson. I don't want to kind of go too far on him and ignore some of the other prospects. We did knock out some of the big dogs yesterday, but we have 2 in particular. One, if I'm talking to you, but 2 in particular, depending on how some people feel in the defensive backfield. But let's get my personal favorite out, somebody that I like, as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go, and I love my competitive side more than I used to be honest. And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. It's one of those things where I get to be on my phone, have fun with my friends, while also competing against them at the same time. That's what I think is beautiful. I say that my competitive side is scratched every time I speak about this. But even if you're somebody who just wants to have very relaxed fun and doesn't want to compete, it's that too. It's a classic Monopoly, but this time with a mobile twist. So instead of just, oh, you landed on my property, give me 500. I landed on your property, I'll give you 200. You can also look at who is the leaderboard, who is a top tycoon on the top of the Monopoly game. And you can say, I want to go get what's in his vault or what's in her vault. And that's just beautiful. I lost all my money in Monopoly one time. You know what happens when you lose all your money in Monopoly? You're done. With this, I can go ahead and reload. I can reload and I can reload. So go ahead and get on the Monopoly Go app, download on the App Store or Google Play. Does not matter. Everybody I know is a huge fan of this. As we continue rolling with today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day. Every day for your second listen, make sure you're checking out Locked On Sports Today, the first of its kind, 24/7, all day, every day live sports network on YouTube. No matter the time, there is a program that will be airing on that streaming channel. Now, I want to get into somebody who is my personal favorite. I'm going to be very open. This is a biased take, but I'm going to be realistic with it. And it's Isaiah Major. He is a 1. I in no way do I expect Isaiah Major to be drafted. That is not the reason that I wanted to bring up Brother Major. The reason I wanted to bring him up, and I would love to know what you think just his offseason outlook is. Free agent, spring league, and I will know that. But he's my favorite prospect that nobody talks about. Like, when I watch Isaiah Major's game from the linebacker position, he's a 50-yard threat, 53-yard threat, meaning he's sideline to sideline. And I think that if you have a screenplay to a wide receiver, he can run out and get that. You have a screenplay to a running back. He's intelligent and he's athletic enough to sift through the offensive lineman and also just know the plays coming. Downhill, he's a threat there. I really enjoy him. He's not a big coverage guy. I think he's aware and he's competent in zones, but he's not going to be somebody's like, oh, I praise his coverage ability. Correct. But as far as coming downhill, I enjoy him going sideline to sideline. I wish that Chaney, I don't know if he's announced where he's going to be in the transfer portal this year, his running mate, but I hope that Chaney comes back to FAMU this year because Major and Chaney were probably my favorite because I didn't watch as much Morgan State. They were probably my favorite linebacking duo.
I told you to watch Morgan State.
And I did, but I didn't watch him as much as I watched FAMU. Like I watched them though. Come on now. I like the guys out there. It's Wilson and Hunter. I like them. 40 and 54. I'm not trying to knock. They cold.
I got you. I'm just saying.
I'm a swag guy. I'm a swag guy, so I watch more swag.
I got you. I ain't knocking you, brother. I'm just letting you know that was the best linebacker tandem. It wasn't even close. But I got you.
Not even close.
No.
I liked FAMU. I have a personal, but then again, I have such a personal bias towards Major that I wanted to make sure he's a part of this draft preview, knowing he's not going to get drafted. I don't need your grade on him. I don't need the one. I don't even need a really big breakdown. I just want to know, do you think you think Isaiah Major gets a camp invite, or do you think he's destined for the spring leagues?
He's a good initial camp invite. I have him here as an NFL tryout, mini camp only prospect, free agent.
Okay.
So do you want his report or?
No, I don't even need it. I don't even need it. I'm gonna let my report be the one that shines today. I want y'all to know, Gerald gave me the stamp of approval, y'all. It was just one player. But he gave me the stamp of approval on a breakdown, and that made my Monday. So
good. You sure you don't want his report? All right, I'll let it go. But I have him as a free agent. He'll be brought in. He'll be brought in, and he'll make flashes and splash plays and stuff like that. He'll have to be a killer on special teams. He has to really show that. That's going to be his way in. So just something to think about.
Now you may want to hear the report.
No, you didn't want to hear it. Yeah,
I didn't, because I want mine to shine. But I felt like what it is for a second, I was unconfident. I lacked confidence in my report. But you know what? It's like you told me, trust my eyes.
That's
So at
it.
the end of the day, that's my report on Isaiah Major. Let's hear yours. Because at first I didn't want you to be wildly different, and then I just look stupid or something. You know what I'm
No,
saying? But
that's what this is about. Like everybody has a different. I'm telling
exactly.
you,
I gotta be confident. I can't be afraid of somebody thinking different. So
that's all.
let's hear what you have about Isaiah Major, and then we'll get into some of these defensive backs or the two
Okay.
defensive backs.
Got you. Isaiah Major at 6 foot, 225 pounds, is an assertive inside linebacker with tenacity and high energy. His athleticism, especially in run defense, engages well with offensive linemen. His aggressive style occasionally leads to missteps, yet his instincts and quick reaction often remedy this, particularly in pursuit. Major's tackling in traffic is solid, but refinement in his technique could reduce missed tackles. His coverage abilities are modest, showing potential vulnerabilities, but effectively covering backs and ends backs and tight ends in the flats. As a blitzer, his burst is noticeable, though leg drive consistency is needed. Well suited for a 3-4 defense as a jack linebacker or a will linebacker in a 4-3 scheme. Major sideline to sideline prowess and aggressiveness shine, also contributing to special teams. Improving coverage skills and tackling technique. Consistency is key for advancement. Major is seen as an NFL tryout, minicamp only prospect.
Come on, man. Come on. That feels like a much more intelligent way of and detailed way of the way that I felt. So I feel good. I feel good. I'm a novice.
I'm not even going to read. Listen, I'll tell everybody now. When I first started, my scouting reports were terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I was out here and that's why I'm glad I was able to. I mean, now I look back like, okay, it took some time. I know. So now it's all good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
So,
and I love hearing that because we did one. I didn't get to the other player, but these are the type of things that are interesting. These are the type of things I want to hear. These are the type of discussions I want to have because I enjoy it. I ain't gonna lie and tell you this, but I enjoyed it when I sat down and watched the 3-4 players that I did.
mm-hmm.
Once you told me to trust my eyes, it allowed me to take away being a perfectionist. And once I was able to stop being a perfectionist and just say, you know what, Darian, you know a little bit of football, dog, on it. Better act like it and go in and just scout with what you see. And then as time goes on, maybe your eyes will change, your eyes will develop. That changed so much for me because I just trusted myself, right? So I appreciate that. And that's what I got. You know what I'm saying? So let's push forward to the defensive backs because one you love and one you have an interesting take on. Mikey Victor, Willie Drew. Let's go. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors, and eBay Motors is the only place that I would ever send anybody if something was wrong with their car. It's the only place I would send anybody if they say they want to make enhancements to their car. It's not about, oh, my car is broke down, I need this part. Yes, eBay Motors provides you that. If your alternator is messed up, they can get you an alternator. And it's really the best place to go because you go to some of these dealerships, they're going to charge you an arm and leg for the part. Then they're going to charge you the labor, right? If you come in with the part from eBay Motors, you just got the labor, right? Like that's the beautiful part about it. And it's at a much better price than what you'll see from those other guys. So go to ebaymotors.com. That's if you want to fix up your car. Maybe something's wrong with it. Maybe you just want to do it up and have a nice little different aesthetic, right? Go to ebaymotors.com for that. Everything you could possibly need in enhancements, aesthetic, visual, all of that. Go to ebaymotors.com. That is ebaymotors.com. As we're wrapping up today's episode of Locked on HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day, every day, making it all the way to segment 3. And I thank you 2 times for that. This is the end of our HBCU Ultimate Draft Preview, and we're ending it with the defensive backs, the last line of defense. Or they ain't safety, so never mind, not the last line of defense, but 2 cornerbacks in Willie Drew and Mikey Victor. I have something to say about both. And we're playing how likely is that they get drafted. I know we got away from that with Major, but we're back to grading how likely it is. Who you want to start with? We can start with Drew. We can start with Victor.
Cause you so funny, man. you know what you're doing, man. So just to let y'all know, me and Darian have had a lot of off-air conversations about this cornerback one out of HBCU football in this class. For me, it's not particularly close.
It's not. That's why I said it's really which one you want to go.
Yeah, well, let's go with we'll just knock Willie out, man. Let's go.
I will go first. This is funny. I had Jarvian Howard on this list of people to talk about, but I like Howard. I do. For the record, I had him at 1.5, so I don't think he's a likely draft pick, but I think that somebody does pick him up. We'll just leave it at that.
He's a free agent to me.
Yeah, he's a free agent guy, but I wish I would have some good stuff to say about Howard, but we ain't got time now. Let's get to Drew. So this is what I had to say about Drew. I have him as a 2.5. He's one of him and Howard were the two people I couldn't land on either side, so I'm kind of in the middle. But Willie Drew is the epitome of I'm on the fence. Mm-hmm. Remember what I said, 2 and 3 are only separated by my optimism level, and he's right there in the middle. For me, Willie Drew got the nod going to the Senior Bowl, got the nod going to the scouting combine, but he didn't take advantage the way that he should have at either. I looked up his RAS score, his relative athletic score, and it ended up just being in a yellow. You got to have that in a green. There's too much working against you as a D2 prospect for you to not excel in these type of moments. He didn't excel at the Senior Bowl. He didn't excel at the combine. I think he did better at the combine than he did the Senior Bowl because his speed was better, right? Like that was one of the best things that he did. He was in the green for that. But overall, he didn't take advantage of those opportunities. So I think I have questions on if that will squash his momentum, because there was obviously a reason that he was invited to these events, his athletic profile. I just don't know if he took advantage enough to actually get drafted. And when you don't take advantage, it's not like you just stay the same. No, you either rise or you drop as a D2 player. And I'm fearful that he dropped. So let's go to Mr. I coach in the CIAA. Somebody who's had a much closer look at Willie Drew than I have.
Yeah. I always make sure that when I got into this, my job is to make sure I discuss players without tearing them down. So that's when I make sure Willie Drew is one of the best athletes that came out of small school football this year. Willie Drew has the athletic profile that you would like to see. 5'11" and change, pretty decent length with his arms, length at the catch point, linear speed, quick trigger, acceleration, all the athletic things you love. But I'm a technician because I was not a good athlete. I was okay. I'm a technician. And when it came down to it, when he went against receivers that are technicians as well with their route running, with their deception as a route runner, with their release packages, their ability to hand fight, he struggled. The Senior Bowl was rough for Willie. So you got to think, this is how I look at it, right? So Willie going into it, people had him, I saw as high as like 4th round, 3rd round, whatever. Cool. So if you are initially like a 5th, 6th round guy, 4th round guy. So imagine this, right? Think of Willie Drew coming out, won defensive player of the year in the conference, everything. So now after that, Senior Bowl. So after the Senior Bowl performance, you don't go up. You don't stay the same. So you got to start going down. So if you're a 5th round, you got a 5th round grade on him, now you're starting to okay, he went against Roman Wilson. He went against Quez Walker. He went against all these guys. He went against McCaffrey. Went against all these guys at Senior Bowl, and he did not perform well. So you can't keep him the same. So now we're talking about 6th, 7th round. Combine. Goes to the combine, does exactly what we know he could do. Hey, Willie, we know you're fast. Why didn't you do the drills? I don't know, but I could speculate. I can ask, but I kind of didn't want to an extent. Because for me, I'm very big on, it's not just about you. It's about us. It's about us as the small school guys. When you get an opportunity to go to a situation like or event like the NFL Combine, you do everything you're supposed to do. I wasn't very happy that Aneem didn't do everything either, but at least he did. He did positional drills. He didn't do. But I'm just like, when you have an opportunity like that, that's why Mason McCormick, the young man from South Dakota State, the guard, who was teetering that day 3 line or day 2. Now people talking about day 2 with Mason McCormick. Why? Athletic profile, one of the highest RAS scores you're going to see from a guard. You're not going to see that if you don't run, if you don't jump. Then his tape matches. So when you're a small school guy, do everything. Sorry, you don't have the luxury to sit out. You're not Marvin Harrison Jr. You're not Caleb Williams. You're not these guys. Do everything. And then when you got a guy like Roma Duze, who's probably a top 10 pick, doing everything and actually trying to do more after the combine, who are you to not do anything? Unless you're injured. You're injured, cool. I'm not going to say anything to that. It's a business. If you injured, don't you dare go out there.
Yeah.
You help me, go. So now, okay, Willie Drew, he went from 4th, 5th-ish or 5th, 6th-ish, depending on who you're talking to. Now we start going down. That's 2 events that he didn't help him rise. We all knew Willie was fast. He ran a 4.47 laser. It's fast. It's really fast. Now we're talking about 7th round now. 7th round PFA. And that's where I have him. 7th round PFA. So he's going to get a similar grade to Donkwa, a 3. He might get picked. He might not. You're a D2 guy. At least Donkwa went against power. He went against G5 competition. For the most part, he played against South Florida. He played against Northwestern. He played against, what else did he play? He played against Eastern Michigan. He has taken against quality opponents. So him being a teeter between 7th round PFA, 6th round, 7th round PFA is different than the guy whose best game might have been when he played years ago when he played for James Madison. His only D1 team he played this year was Norfolk, and no knock to Norfolk, but it is what it is.
It's real. Okay, and you know what? As we close out a little bit quicker, I think it's good that we went to Drew first because we both like Victor, so we can end on a little bit more of an upbeat, tone, right? And I know. But I had to ask you. But now let's get to Victor. I have Victor as a 4. I think he is, of everybody, he is my most confident that he gets drafted. My 4, I know it's my scale, but let me make sure I get it right. Right. So yes, just confident, no additives, just confident they'll get drafted. When I look at Durant, when I look at Joshua Williams 2 years ago, 2 defensive backs drafted. Look at last year, Isaiah Bolden. Maybe he was drafted for his kick return ability and everything, but defensive back. It seems as if HBCU defensive backs have been valued recently. I think he has the height, weight, size, right? Or height, weight, speed, excuse me. He has that. I think at the Shrine Bowl, his ability to cover up, he didn't get enough opportunities at the Shrine Bowl. First and foremost, I'll say that. I know it. But he didn't have enough opportunities, but the ones that he did they kept running deeper routes on him. If I'm a guy and I'm going to somewhere to maximize my draft stock and I can they'll go against my best strength, I'll take that every time. Because now it just continues to show how good I am and it makes you more likely to go to my film. So I have him as a 4 overall, and I'll go that real quick and then I'll let you say what you have to say on him before we wrap up the episode and wrap up the preview. No. Ooh! The 5?
Mikey Victor has done everything right. Every single thing right. From the guy that no one really knew about to Hula Bowl. No, sorry. Take that back. The guy that nobody knew about to Aeneas Williams finalist to Hula Bowl to Shrine Bowl to Alabama Pro Day, where I can confirm people were saying he looked like the best DB out there running drills. 6'3", 212 at corner that has versatility to be a big nickel and cover tight ends does not come around often. He has an 80-inch wingspan. He has average linear speed, above average changes direction and lateral quickness. Long arms. I think he's like 33 or 34-inch arms. That's almost the same length as Aneem Donkwa's arms, for Christ's sake. And he's 4 inches shorter at corner. So I don't like really doing the guarantees when it comes to our guys, because you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Mikey not getting drafted would be worse than Marquise Bell not getting drafted. Mikey was the first HBCU player to perform at Alabama Pro Day. I mean, people do this all the time, by the way. South Carolina State been going to Power 5 Pro Days and everything. It's just, I get it. But when you're there with Kool-Aid McKinstry, who we worked out with before, and Terrion Arnold, who he also worked out with before, not much, but they know each other and they know of each other. When you do everything like that and you perform the way he did, when the ball hits his hand, he's jumping in the air. He's floating in the air. And watch this kid. He floats. He's a long speed guy. He probably ain't gonna get out the gate. Okay. His back end is fast. That means that's why them deep routes don't work as much. I think he gave up one touchdown, a deep touchdown, or a deep completion all like in past this whole year. The kid did everything right. When it comes to instinct, when it comes to being able to read route combinations deep, the tackling ability, the biggest thing with him, he improved complete 180 since last year. Because he was like my number. I think I had him tied for number 10 coming into this year as a corner. And I can admit that. But I will tell you, he has some good people in this corner that care about him. And those people came together as a village, and they said, we're going to get this young man to where he needs to be. And that's what it takes some time for. So I meant to tell you this before. I'll end on this, and I might even give the scout report. Why not? But when it comes down to it, when you're a small school guy, you need a team. You need a village of people with a common goal to get you to that point. It took a team of people to get Mikey Victor to where he got. He did everything he needed to do. Now everybody else around needed to help him out. And that's exactly what they did. From his agent to his dad to people talking about him to draft HBCU to me. You can throw me in there if you want. I don't care. To Alabama for giving him a shot. Eric Galko for giving him a shot. You know what I mean? Hula Bowl for giving him a shot. That's what it takes. And all he had to do was just be Mikey.
I'm so mad. I feel like this should have been a show opener. This should have been a show opener.
Mikey is the blueprint for how this thing has to go moving forward. It's going to take everybody, even his coach, Coach Williams. Coach Williams is about to have 2 guys in the NFL in the past 2 years, and he's probably has another one on the way. There's another one after that. Alabama State has 2 DBs currently in the CFL. There's a formula they have, and I if their formula. If you're under 6'1", bye. Ain't nothing to talk about. Tall, long corners that are aggressive and can cover. That is the Alabama State way. They're going to continue to pump out guys as long as that staff is still there. And shout out to them. So once again, get your village together. Utilize your resources. Make yourself a Wikipedia page. Whatever you got to do. It's not going on social media. You see, Mike, you don't tweet none of that stuff. You don't do all the extra stuff. Why am I not getting up? Why am I? He just work. He let everybody else do the other stuff. He's like, I just want to play football. His brother played in the league. There's nothing new to him. You saw it. So I'm gonna read his report and then we're done. So Mike, well, he hates me. His name is Mikey. His real name is Michael, but Mikey Victor, at 6'3", 210 pounds, is a cornerback with exceptional size that allows him to effectively match up against larger receivers. Best suited for zone coverage due to his lack of twitch, Victor exhibits strong reactive athleticism and nickel versatility, particularly against tight ends. His long stride and average linear speed are balanced by early physicality and smooth backpedal, aiding in maintaining position against quicker opponents. Victor's above average change of direction compensates for his non-twitchy nature, and his leaping ability enhances his effectiveness in contested catch scenarios. Although his press technique can lead to overextension, his recovery speed and long arms allow him to disrupt passes effectively. While displaying some hip stiffness, his field fluidity and proactive approach in breaking on routes are notable. Victor's physicality extends to special teams where his attributes are valuable. Projected as an adequate NFL rotational prospect, his skills in zone and ability to contribute on special teams define his professional potential. You read that and don't draft that. I don't tell you.
Mikey Victor, the blueprint for HBCU athletes. I love it. I love it. Wow. I appreciate it. I ain't got no words to say, man. I don't have Coach Huggins, Coach_Huggins. Y'all know where to find me. Now you know where to find him. If there's any other reason to play back the last couple of minutes of the show. In the meantime, in between time, I'll see y'all after the draft. Peace.